Greetings, everybody. It's just going to be a few moments. I'm still waiting for individuals to join. This, of course, meeting is going to be streamed on our Facebook group page. The first time I figured out how to do that. And also this is being recorded for future use. Again, trying to attract more people to the Somerset County Dems, and this hopefully will be able to do so. So it's just going to be a few moments. Hi, Daniel. I have everybody on mute. I just want to make you aware that this is streaming on Facebook. I'm trying to attract more individuals. Plus, again, folks will be able to view our meeting who generally do not participate, so that we can try to get more Democrats in the Somerset County to join our meetings. It's very important because, again, we have, there are a lot of volunteers that are really helping out. And of course, I really appreciate Becky, and I really appreciate Mike, and I really appreciate Frank and everybody who has, and of course, Margaret, for helping, because again, I take on too much, but I can't do everything, and things are going well. It's just going to be a few more moments until hopefully we'll get the meeting going.
The cards are out. Yeah, I mailed some cards for the Somerset County Dems.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Feel free, everybody, to unmute yourselves, and we can start talking, and then go.
Michael, I haven't seen you since yesterday. Michael and I had a 6-hour Zoom for the Maine Service Employees Association yesterday. Hi, Kobe.
Hey, everyone.
And just to be aware, everybody, this is being streamed live on our Facebook group page. I figured out how to do it, and I'm hoping to attract more people to our Somerset County Democrat meetings digitally. So this is definitely a new thing for us, and I hope things are, I think things are going to go well, but again, I want to, the more people in our county that can join, the better. Again, participation is everything. And, again, as I said, everyone's doing a great job. Somerset has some really talented people, and I am very happy to be able to help. So let me, I have some folks that are joining.
Hi, Ethan.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Ethan.
Hey, Ethan, just to be aware, so the other day I was driving down Somerset Avenue, and I don't know whose house it is. So on Somerset Avenue, it's that house that has like the Trump flag, I just don't know which one that is. I don't know who lives there. It has like, it's literally, I call it the Trump house because it has flags and multiple signs.
They have a pink trash can.
Yes.
That's Amanda Collimore's grandmother.
So I've been trying to figure that out because today, or the other day, of course, I had my Biden Harris mask on, and I was at the gas station, and there was this truck and it had this big gigantic Trump sign in it and all kinds of
Oh yeah.
signs, and they dropped off it all over to that house. So I was trying to figure out exactly what was happening there. So I'm keeping an eye on Pittsfield because again, it
It needs
looks like things are heating up in Pittsfield since we have that awesome sign
Yeah.
literally on the corner of Somerset and Heartland Avenue.
Yeah, Polly Landry had all of her signs stolen. So I don't know. I haven't heard about anyone else having that problem, but
Well, if anyone needs signs, we have plenty of Biden Harris signs, and I've always told everybody for every sign that gets stolen, and granted, signs do not change people's minds, and I think I posted that on our group. So, for every sign that gets stolen, we'll put 3 in its place.
It's
Good,
like gray hair.
good.
I still have a few. I still have a few of my
What
signs
happened to
left.
me?
If anyone needs any.
Hey, Ethan,
I-
can you place a
I just
couple of
want
your
to tell you
signs?
guys a story because this is Lise, and we just my husband and I went to we drove to the White Mountains National Forest today because we had to drop off. We had to make an exchange of a guitar that we sold, and it was cheaper to drive there than to ship it and less trouble. So we did an analysis on the way of the Biden-Harris signs versus the Trump signs. And I am happy to report that on our trip, which took 2.5 hours each way, the Biden-Harris signs outnumbered the Trump signs by about 20 to 25%.
Excellent.
And that's
Yeah.
the,
I was happy.
and the cool thing is I love when I go down south in southern Maine, there's like literally the Trump.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Everywhere.
you. And then
Everywhere.
then, I have to go to Boston pretty much 2 to 3 times a month because of my wife's illnesses. But it's awesome. I go down there and all I see is Biden Harris signs, and all I see is Black Lives Matters, and all I see is, and you know something, it just feels great to be in an area where it's supported. And granted, Somerset County is a challenging county. We have and especially Pittsfield. We have it's very challenging. So but something, we're just going to continue to creep up and add new Democrats and, and push, and granted, I'm hoping to boost Sarah Gideon's numbers and Biden's numbers. If we can boost even a little bit, that'll help to help, especially with congressional. I think they're really good with Congressional District 1, but if we can boost our numbers for her, we can definitely get her elected and of course prevent Trump from getting an elector. And that's definitely my, one of my particular focuses. And Ethan, in front of Hannaford, there is a lovely Amanda sign there. If you could lovely place a lovely Ethan Brownell sign right next to that, that way and granted, signs don't win, but we just need to get you placed over there a little bit. So just, it would be great. So.
Yeah.
Robert, this is Becky. I have told some of you this, I think, but I typed up the labels for the postcards, and on the roster, all it had was the person's name, address, year of birth, the year of their birth, and what they were changing, what their status was prior to enrolling as a Democrat, because these were the people who knew Dems as of the primary. They enrolled in time. So anyway, what I noticed was there were many, I didn't count, but 20, 25 people who had changed from Republican to Democrat, much older than 65, in their 70s and 80s, who had switched. And I thought, I could be a pollster because I really think this is a trend. And even in Pittsfield, some, names that would be very surprised went from Republican to Democrat. So that made me happier than about anything I've heard recently.
And that's a very big success. And I'm hoping, and even after this election, I want to build upon that. Again, this
Yep.
election is very important, but it's very important to gain more Democrats in Somerset County. And of course, that is my plan. One of my biggest plans is to unite and to make the municipal committee stronger and to develop a caucus. And I have I have a big to-do list, but anyways, it is 5:38. It's a little bit past 5:30. I'm actually going to call this meeting to order. And so that we can definitely, start off, I'm actually pulling open the agenda. And
I have it on my side as well. So we go approval of the minutes first.
Yep. So has everyone have the chance to view the minutes prior to this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Is there anything that you would like to edit or make changes to the previous meeting?
Karen, I think, had her hand up.
I see that, Karen. You can unmute yourself and let me see what I can do. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. I can do that. Let me get that. I'll put that right on Facebook, Pete. Feel free to unmute yourself at any point. I'm just gonna quickly get
Yeah,
this.
they're unmuted.
Just wanted to let you know we're still not getting minutes or agendas by email.
I've been trying to forward them to you. I think I forwarded. I'll see if I forward. I'm gonna see check if I forwarded them through my Somerset County email. May have to do them from my Yahoo because I get them through there too. Let me see.
Pete, you can go on our
Let
Google
me see.
page, and I will tell you, Colby, and I absolutely despise your ISP. I've talked to every
Be nice.
single. Oh no! It's not you guys. It's their It's your ISP because they, unlike other traditional ISPs or agencies that handle email, actually follow the standards and protocols, which is normal. And our servers are completely falling live with worldwide standards. For whatever reason, your particular ISP, which is not your fault, it does something completely different and throws it in your spam inbox.
I believe you, every word you're saying, but until probably May, we were getting everything.
And I forwarded them to you this morning from my Somerset County email. It might have been landed in spam. Why don't I forward them through my Yahoo and you'll get them.
And it's on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook group page, you can actually see the agenda.
The minute,
Also, or not the minutes, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll forward them through my Yahoo email. They may get them better that way.
Okay.
I've been trying to get things, yeah, I can get them sent. So, yeah.
And Colby and Karen, what I'm gonna do at some point is I'm just waiting a little bit longer before I start going out really into the community and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Even though I tested negative for COVID, which is perfectly great, I'm precautionary. But what my plans are, Colby, is maybe at some point I'll stop at your house, take a look at your email, take a look and see what the headers are and see exactly what's going on. That
When you say the ISP, what are you referring to?
Internet service provider, your email provider.
Oh, that I get the mail through MSN.com.
Yep.
Is that the ISP and not consolidated, the people that
Yes.
are the phone company?
Correct. I call it ISP. It could be any provider. Like, for example, my email is hosted on my private server because, you know, I have full control. I configure everything. It's the same server that runs the Somerset County DEMS as well as other components that I have. So, believe me, every day it's a work of art because I have to make sure everything is running on a daily basis. So for me, it's my hobby anyways, besides politics. But I'll pop over at some point. I'll give you guys a call and figure out what is going on.
Hey, maybe we can still move forward though. What do you think, Robert?
Yep, we'll move forward if everyone has looked at the minutes. I move to approve the meetings. Do we have a second?
I second.
The minutes have been approved.
Apparently, I've been on mute this whole time.
Oh, it's okay, Joel. I have it on initially on mute for everybody. It's just a normal security piece. So the next component that I would like to add in is the treasurer's report.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I sure can.
Yes.
Okay. Previous balance in the checking account was $915. Deposits, contributions, $133.53. Expenditures were $323.88. And our current balance is $725.11. Our savings account gained 20 cents in interest, so our new balance is $1,956.61. Total monies available is $2,681.72.
So I move to approve the treasurer's report.
To file it?
Yep, to file it, approve it.
Second.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate you doing the finances component. It's definitely great, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So recently, just to give you an update with regards to the county caucus meeting that I've had, there have been some, there's been some concern statewide about the coordinated campaign, and those are being resolved with Mike, Mike Emery, who is the chair. So he's working on that, and things seem to be going better now. So definitely a little bit more coordination, which I really appreciate. Again, right now we're pushing, the main Democratic Party's pushing right now for canvassing. One of the biggest issues is they did the phone canvassing, or not phone canvassing, the phone reach out to folks, and they were receiving, they were getting maybe a 5% success rate out of phone banking. So they decided we need to start going out, which is great. I know that the main Democratic Party hired, got folks in, a large amount to do, but they, percentage wise, the canvassing has been a lot better than the phone banking. So we've now transitioned from, they're still accepting phone banking, but we really want for the next several weeks, until the election day, to canvass. One of the biggest pieces that I've come across, because I've been talking to Willa in the coordinated campaign, is that there are still so many people in Somerset County right now that are undecided, which confuses me a little bit. But again, we still have several people in Somerset County that still state, who they're not going to vote for. Regardless, maybe they were just trying to duck the question because they're a Trump supporter. But again, I always give people the benefit of the doubt. So, definitely phone canvassing, talking to people, that because again, for every person you talk to, they'll talk to other folks, and then hopefully it'll get out to everybody. And again, I encourage everyone, if you haven't done so, to use the Reach app. And again, right now, the biggest component of the coordinated campaign is the get out to vote, and to get folks to vote, and to get folks to go in to their town offices to request absentee ballots, so that they can vote early. And again, I'll just give you an example. Pittsfield, Maine, for example. Again, I've been in contact with Nicole. So far, 760 absentee ballots have been requested, and they're including even more, which is great. And one of the other pieces that the coordinated campaign, as well as, is that towns and cities are desperately seeking poll workers. There's not enough poll workers, and those poll workers, just to be aware, are also assisted in counting. So they count the votes with a Republican or an independent, to, on election night. I'm personally going to be working in Pittsfield from 7:30 in the morning all the way till like 3 o'clock in the morning, or whenever it gets done, so that we can make sure that those votes are tallied and make sure things are good. So for Pittsfield, I'll be very busy on election day. But again, we're just continuing to reach out to voters, get signs out, just to be aware, statewide rampant sign theft. There was a report in the news, about a Democrat, so-called Democrat, that was going around getting rid, sabotaging Trump signs. That volunteer no longer works for the Democratic Party, no longer is a volunteer. And they did that without, any sort of approval. So, again, not that I'm saying that we're all, that we're the same, but again, all I say is we just respect their signs regardless, if they steal our signs. It does, signs don't vote. And signs don't change people's minds. I think I put out about 20 signs. And no, I put out around 40 signs, and around 20 of my signs were stolen. So just to take into account, but we have a lot of Biden signs, so let them take them. And again, I definitely highly recommend going on the Maine Democratic webpage. There's several of it, they're still looking for assistance with the polls and to monitor those polls, to monitor, to make sure nothing funny goes on. Because again, the Republican Party, traditionally, it's voter suppression. That's their piece that they want to do. It's suppressing the votes. And you can see that nationwide going on right now. Multiple people waiting hours to vote. So I highly suggest, if you don't want to work the polls, I just got a email, and I'll send out a link later, that the voter protection team needs volunteers to be able to assist in monitoring, specifically around absentee ballots, and making sure that there's nothing funny going on. But, again, I hope, civilized. I will tell you that I'm very civilized. And today I'll just say that I wore my Biden-Harris face mask when I went into Walmart, and I'm walking around and so forth. And I had 3 Trump face masks, and they looked at me, I looked at them, I smiled, and we walked by each other. So, hey, that didn't, that is definitely, respect. So, because again, I don't want to go into a debate in the middle of Walmart. But anyways, again, as everyone has seen, my car is plastered, because again, Somerset County, all I see is those big Trump flags on the back of their trucks. So something, I'll drive around. I've been yelled at, I've been screamed at Dunkin' Donuts in Pittsfield, and so forth. But something, it doesn't bother me one bit. It actually makes me laugh. But other than that, there's really not much going on. Again, a lot of it is working with the coordinated campaign, and definitely, I've spoken to Willa, and she definitely needs some volunteers. And again, to sign up, I would highly recommend going to the Maine Democratic page website. And later today, I'm going to send out some links later so that folks, if they want to. And again, this is in particular, again, I want to thank everybody for participating in these meetings, and I do want to thank everybody for volunteering. So the next piece is the Democratic State Committee. And just so that I can relax my voice a little bit, Lise or Frank, do you think you could update us here?
Well, go ahead, Liz.
Frank. Why don't you take this one if you wouldn't mind?
I was just saying that since there's been a meeting, we've also had a meeting, and we have updated. So I don't really have any notes to update.
There's
But
nothing
I
new,
say
I don't
that
think.
the state committee meeting is next Sunday. Normally it's the same day, and we would have just come from it, but
Right.
they postponed it for another week. So there isn't a report until the next Somerset meeting.
And again, my brain is I've been so busy with meetings, reaching out to people and so forth. It's hard to keep track of the dates and the meetings and the Zoom calls. I think I was on the other day, I was in 4 hours of Zoom meetings regarding the Democratic Party. So
Robert, it's 1 o'clock next Sunday will be the next state committee meeting.
Pretty much just before just before the election, actually. So
So what's the next item?
So we'll move on to candidate updates. So I'm gonna either Pete or Ethan, either one of you can go. So
I'll go. Hi, everybody. Let's see what's happened on the campaign lately. We had a candidates night for all of the candidates in Franklin County where I had a couple of exchanges with the Republican in my race. The most notable probably was on LGBTQ issues. I happened to be running against somebody who voted against the ban on gay conversion therapy that we fortunately passed in the current legislature. And I talked about some things that I'd like to do because the struggle for gay rights is not over. It did not end with gay marriage. There's a lot of things we can do around comprehensive sex education that's also LGBTQ inclusive, and getting veterans benefits, state veterans benefits for veterans who were discharged solely because of their sexual orientation when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in place. On the organizational side of things, unfortunately, the money for signs took longer than expected to arrive, but it's here. The order is all but sent. And so there's a slim chance that the signs will arrive here Friday or Saturday. Unfortunately, we're probably looking at Monday, but Bob, as soon as they'll arrive, you'll get a phone call from me and I will drive them over to Skowhegan for distribution, and we can just cover Anson, New Portland, and Starks and yard signs.
Absolutely awesome.
There's also, since we were talking about getting out the vote and stuff earlier, I wanted to share a link in the chat here. This is something that the Franklin County Dems have put together. They've looked at every town in Franklin County and found the contact information for the town hall and the pre-election hours that folks can come in to vote early. And just a suggestion, if you guys have the bandwidth for it, if not, totally understandable. Maybe you'd want to compile something like that for Somerset County as well. Just a suggestion. I think I have sign-ups from folks in Somerset County, but if you want to help out, and especially if you live in Anson, New Portland, or Starks, I'd really appreciate a letter to the editor. I've been writing a couple of letters to the editor for myself, but it's always good to have them in support of me from somebody else. I think the papers really to concentrate on at this point are the Morning Sentinel, Bangor Daily News, Daily Bulldog, if you can, because I think that has some readership in Somerset County as well. And yeah, I'd be happy to put my number and email in if you have any questions about where I stand on the issues for letter to the editor purposes. And I think that's about it. I do have another candidates night coming up. It's probably going to be a little bit more slanted towards Franklin County stuff because it's focused on the Rangeley area, but there's going to be a lot more time between me and Tom Schofield. So, you know, if you just want to see the candidate talk, and that's a good place to see it. I think that's everything. Thank you.
Pete, can those candidate nights be streamed anywhere? Can we watch it?
I think they are going to be live streamed. I'm not 1,000% sure about it because it's being done by the Rangeley Area Chamber of Commerce, and they're doing it virtually for the first time.
Okay.
Actually, I would share the link to the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce event, but the fact is it's like there's 10-15 minutes of stuff relevant to this race, and everybody else hits districts in Franklin County. So, and a lot of Franklin County specific stuff too. So yeah, but yeah, I'll share the link to the event once it comes up, if it gets advertised on Facebook. Yep.
Thanks, Pete. So I guess we'll move over to Ethan. How are things going in Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit?
So I mean, aside from our little dust up with the Pittsfield Republican Party, pretty tame. I've been hearing nothing but good things, lots of support from folks around, and you know, we're done with any fundraising we needed to do. Signs are out. I mean, we're sending letters, making calls, sending texts, things like that. So the thing the big ask that I'm going to have for folks is if, you know, one, let's get rid of the rest of my signs. I don't want them in my cars anymore. So if you are someone you know wants a sign, I'm prioritizing lawns over public spaces because, you know, to me that means a lot more. You know, if there are neighborhoods, that means people are walking by, things like that. And, you know, if we've got one by the library, if we've got one, you know, in the park in Clinton, if we've got one, you know, in certain areas, like obviously there's going to be signage like near polling places. But I mean, you know, who's going to drive by and say like, oh, Brownell, that's a name with some consonants in it. I'm going to pick that one. So mostly my idea is that, you know, if you get it next to people, get it on people's lawns, it means more to me because they're talking about me. They're, you know, they're showing their neighborhood that it's okay to support me or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? So I kind of want to prioritize people over public spaces in that regard. But I did place a few in certain public spaces, especially in Pittsfield, because there's a lot of really good places, you know. And secondly, contacting people. So I'll have a couple new lists up for contacts. And if you are interested in phone banking, friend banking, text banking, writing letters, whatever it is, I can make a list for you to focus on. And especially because things are a little nuts right now for me. So if other folks do want to help out, I know a lot of folks are volunteering for many different campaigns. So kind of prioritize where your heart is. But I'd encourage you, if you can spend a little time for contacting people in Pittsfield, Clinton, and Detroit, that'd be really great. Yeah, because school and health and maybe buying a house, I don't know. Things are going a little crazy for me right now. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And, you know, it's sad to say, but I'm kind of prioritizing some other things. So if people wanted to volunteer and help me out, that would be great. But we're still still, trying to reach people. So.
This is Lisa. I have a question for both Ethan and Pete.
Mhm.
Have there been any polls at all done that look at where you guys stand in the polls?
So it's possible that that the party has done some information gathering. I know I was on a call a week or so ago where somebody was talking about that, but I don't know. There was done in some towns have information gathered, some towns do not. So it might be a little hit or miss, but I don't know. I don't know if Hillary also knows something about this being a candidate, but I don't know of anything myself. I just get the buzz at school.
Yeah, I don't know that there's been any polling specifically about my race. I do remember seeing a poll on the BDN saying that on a generic state legislative ballot, the Democrats are up by about 7 or 8 points, which is always good to hear. When I call voters, I sometimes get asked, who are you running against? And I say Tom Schofield, because I don't want to say anything more about him. And they usually say, oh, okay, I've heard the name, but I don't really have an opinion on him. Or, oh, yeah, this is going to be a tough race for you. I've never, dropped the name and heard any like full-throated defenses of him, for what that's worth. Ethan, I'm just curious, do you ever have that kind of conversation with somebody where they ask who you're up against?
Yes, but being against another challenger, it's not, or a newcomer, it's not typically, I don't typically get that drama. Although people might recognize her or might not. So, yeah.
Yeah, same deal. Pine Tree Watch actually has a whole infographic page where they figure out the fundraising data and say, well, we don't have any polling, so here's a cool substitute, so you can figure out like who's raised how much and who's spent how much. And I both outraised and outspent Schofield for what that's worth. So, and I don't know of any third-party expenditures on his behalf. The sense that I'm getting is that the Republican establishment, whether they're right or not, we'll find out, thinks that his seat is so safe they're not even bothering with me. It's kind of funny because when I see attacks on Ethan, for example, or like other Democrats who have been in the news at the legislative level, I feel like I'm left out, guys. What the hell? So that's my case.
Interesting. I wondered too, does anybody have any data at all on early voting in person? Because my husband and I voted last week, and there were two other couples there at the Anson Town Hall when we voted, and I was going to ask the lady in Anson if she could tell me, but it was only the second day that voting was open. I wonder, does anybody know? Because we hear all kinds of statistics on TV, of course, about Georgia and, this kind of stuff. 160,000 people have voted. So I don't know.
Well, we just know
any
that,
data?
I mean, we know that 277,000 people requested absentee mail-in ballots. So whether or not they return those in person or how many also physically went to their town offices to vote, we don't know at this point, but it's definitely record numbers.
Well, and I will tell you, I've been in contact with Nicole in Pittsfield, and as I said, that there is 760 ballots, and that's absentee ballots, and that hasn't been anybody who has come in, to vote. So there is quite a few, individuals in Pittsfield. So unfortunately, I don't have those stats, Lise. I'm hoping maybe, for something, during the the off camp years, is to establish something with all of the town, clerks to try to get this data. But for this particular, in the past, this hasn't been collected. So many of the other counties have done that. So I'm hoping to reorganize again in the off season. But for now, I do know that, there is record turnout in Somerset County. So
That's great to
This is
know.
Frank from Pittsfield. And I would say that what is known is that in Pittsfield, like around the country, Democratic absentee ballots are outnumbering Republican ones. And that's a good trend, of course, and a reversal of what it's been traditionally. Traditionally, Republicans voted absentee more than Democrats, but there's big turnaround. And I believe in Maine, if I got this right, I think it's running about 2-1.
The
Wow.
Secretary of State, the Secretary of State's app where they're tracking ballots.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if there's any kind of reporting function on that website. I mean, I was able to go in and see that I voted already and it was accepted.
I might be able to reach out to April and a few other folks with the Maine Democratic Party that actually gets those stats. So I can try to get that information from the Maine Democratic Party, because again, they gather that information, especially the information for folks whose absentee ballots get rejected for whatever reason, trying to get that done. So I'll work with I'll see what I can do to gather that data for us.
Robert, this is Lise again. I have a friend who lives in Florida, and she wrote me last week. She's the chair of a big Democratic committee in Sarasota, and she told me that they're launching a special phone campaign in Florida about people who requested absentee ballots who haven't returned them yet. And they're particularly reaching out to women. They're doing a special, I'm talking about Democrats here who requested absentee ballots, obviously not Republicans. Who cares? But I wondered if you're going to talk to, April or anybody at the state level. And I will ask this question next Sunday at our DSC meeting. But I'm wondering if there's any kind of a campaign in Maine to reach out by phone to people who have requested absentee ballots and have not returned them, to be able to say to them, when are you planning on returning your ballot? Can we help you in any way? Or are you voting in person? To get some feedback there, because that could be a travesty if we had, 170,000 people requesting an absentee ballot, but a lot of people just didn't turn it in or something.
Well, again, that's a good question to ask when we go to the Democratic committee. But I think Hillary just raised her hand. You have a comment, Hillary?
I was going to chime in. So at least for my campaign, we are in fact tracking that, and I think the Maine Dems are working on that as well. So I'm personally reaching out. Hi, I'm Hillary. I'm running for state senate for District 16, and that includes Fairfield. So we actually do have lists of people who've requested ballots, and we're following up with them and checking in with them, seeing if they have any questions. And then there are sort of ballot chasers, so to speak. And then at least 5 days ago, there was reported 133,000 ballots that have been returned.
Oh, wow. That's great.
That was 5 days ago. So I imagine it's just going to grow exponentially. So I think that's looking really, really good.
Excellent.
And Hillary, if you have anything more, I'm actually going to turn over the floor to you and to try to get some update and to get updates on your campaign as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you for extending the invitation to allow me to come and speak. I don't want to hijack the meeting, but I've been in touch with Mike. Joel and I met at the at the caucus before we went into isolation.
Yes.
And so my district has 7 towns, and it includes Fairfield. And I have been an incredibly busy bee. My campaign has reached out to over 12,000 voters in our district. And I have made more than half of those calls myself. And I'm in pretty strict isolation. My family has 2 high-risk individuals in our household. My youngest, Leo, who's 14, has type 1 diabetes and hydrocephalus. And so they're doing remote schooling. My husband's teaching remotely. So I spend my days making calls. And I am here to report, I feel incredibly uplifted by my outreach. I'm feeling really, really good about where we are in the campaign. And I think people are ready for change all around. And that really crosses all sort of party affiliation. We've raised all the money that we were allowed to raise through Clean Campaign donations. We've maxed out, and we've been doing what we can to get the message out without, quite frankly, knocking on everyone's doors, because there's still a lot of people who don't want to have their door knocked on. But the last 2 weeks, we've seen an increase of people reaching out to me. And even people telling me I'm a Republican and I voted for you. I'm a former teacher who became a caregiver for my youngest son, Leo. I then became a caregiver for my grandpa, who lived with us for 1.5 years. He just passed away in July. He was 99 and a half. And it's really through caring for my son and caring for my grandfather that I learned kind of the hard way that our system doesn't work always for us, that it often works against us. And not everybody has someone like me to advocate for them. And so I got into advocacy efforts. I've testified on some bills in Augusta, and I'd like to say I made one better this year that did get signed by Governor Bills, and now find myself running for state senates. And it's been an amazing journey, but for everyone who's here, Mike was already telling me privately, it's a great turnout and everybody's really involved. I just don't think that our efforts are going to be wasted. I think so many people are hurting in so many different ways, and they're tired of the bickering, and they're tired of the name calling. I feel really strongly about sort of civil discourse, and I'm lucky. My opponent has a great reputation for being a really good guy. So I haven't had to worry about that. I'm focused on attacking issues, not attacking people. And truly, by and large, when people pick up the phone with me, they're generally really polite and willing to engage in a conversation. So, Robert, I think you were right. The main Dems generally haven't been incredibly successful with their phone campaigns, it sounds like, but I've actually been really successful. So I'm feeling really good about it. What I need now is, and I do have signs left over. I know we've got most of them in terms of pickup. They're at my house. And in the Waterville Dems office, I don't know if you think it's worthwhile for me to take some. I think Skowhegan has an office, but basically my husband delivers them. I think Mike, you might have met my husband. He delivers a lot of them himself. What we need is we can't be at all of the polls on election night. We've been encouraged to have somebody who's willing to stay basically at the end to report back to us so that we can get numbers as quickly as possible. I don't know if anybody's going to be in Fairfield, but if you hear of anyone, if anyone here is willing to do that, let me know. Because we're gonna all want to try to get the information from all the different areas and towns, and we can only be at one place at a time. But anyway, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but it's really cool to finally see Ethan and Peter, and a couple other faces or names are really familiar, but we haven't had a chance to meet at all. So it's really nice to be able to do this.
Hillary.
I mean, in Fairfield. to
I'm
watch
sorry?
the polls, to watch the numbers come in.
Oh, you will be. Okay. So Robert, why don't I text you or email you my number? And then
Okay.
touch. Great. Excellent. Are you going to stay to the bitter end?
I'm gonna wait for the numbers to come in.
I love it.
In Fairfield.
I love
usually do
it.
that anyway.
Yeah.
For Clinton?
So
I don't have anyone for Clinton.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So we're Albion, Benton, Clinton, Fairfield, Unity Township, Waterville, and Winslow. And what's really, I think everybody feels this way. What's really hard is it's hard to ask somebody to do something that they really might feel is putting them at risk. And my family feels that acutely. So I want to be really respectful and not ask anyone to do something. If you're already going to be there, I'd love it.
Hillary, this
Mhm.
is Frank from Pittsfield. In this area, at least in the House district, the town clerks will call and tell you the result.
That's
I'm
right.
not sure if you have to ask for that or
Right.
not.
I made a couple calls last week. I'm making more tomorrow, at least in Waterville. I know our clerk, she's amazing, but she's going to be inundated. But Waterville
Sure.
also posts them really quickly online afterwards.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
So I'm
Just a
just going to,
thought.
yeah, I'm following up with clerks.
Hillary?
I think the bigger organization just wants to not feel like we're putting pressure on clerks to do one more thing.
I understand.
But it's a great idea.
Hillary, the
Good luck.
first, I'm sorry, Frank. The first thing I want to do is thank you so much for being an advocate for your special needs child. I work for Office of Aging and Disability, and I work with some of the most at-risk and most difficult individuals in the state of Maine that have intellectual disabilities, autism, and other physical and medical disabilities. So on a daily basis, I advocate and fight. And, there's a lot of, I really love and encourage, I love family support. And that's one of the things, and I want to thank you, because that's the one thing that I appreciate the most is family,
Nice.
parents, and advocating. So I just want to mention that to you, and I just want to thank you.
Thank you. It's any parent knows if you've got kids, you'd do anything for your kids. But it's really, really hard when you have something like type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease. It's not anybody's fault, but it can be life threatening. And it's a 24/7 job. And so that's terrifying when you have that. But we're in such a great place. Leo he's a giant. He's our youngest, and he's the tallest in the household. He's doing great, which is what allows me to sort of branch out now and see. But the reality is most people don't have someone who can dedicate all of their time to do that. And that's where having other people do it is incredible. But anyway.
We have any other questions for the candidates? I just have one other, but if anyone else have any questions, you can go right ahead and ask away. Okay. Ethan, have you heard anything on this elusive supposed town hall that was going to happen supposedly at MCI? I tried reaching out to the chair of the Republican committee, and apparently they don't want to have anything to do with me. For whatever reason. So I've still been in try to contact. Again, as you know, I failed on your Facebook because I got a little emotional, trying to attack someone. And the big piece for me is when you bring children into something, and that's what set my wife off, when you bring children, innocent teenagers and children in high school into and use them as pawns in a political debate or pawns in something that just roasted us. And we did delete our posts. We got a little emotional, but have you heard anything more?
So I haven't. I reached out to my academic dean, who was the one who was trying to put it together with me or for me. But just like everything else in a school, if you've talked to anyone who's in a school, things are nuts. So we're all trying to do everything at the same time. And I think that's really at the bottom of the list for some people. So I think they were waiting on like the Bangor Daily News and that sort of thing. I think they were waiting on some of the contacts that they wanted to try and be there, because of course it's MCI, it has to be marketing in some way. I think that because we're waiting on other people, that might not be like a priority right now. So, when we first staked out dates, it was like the first week in October, and here we are. So, yeah. So as soon as I know something, you guys will know something.
Okay, and to be honest with you, it's getting very close to election day, and I'll say probably a majority of people in Pittsfield have already voted, but we'll still reach out. Ethan, sorry about the other day. I'm gonna try to stop by to get those palm cards because Erica, my wife, is gonna be doing some door-to-door canvassing.
Yeah, sure.
Yay.
And the best part of the door-to-door canvassing is if it's in an apartment building or there's a mudroom, you mark them inaccessible. And then when they come to the door, you step back and then you start talking. And then of course you use there's a particular, the minivan where they can update the information. So Erica's going to be doing some canvassing, and she's going to be starting on Pelatoma Avenue. That's the first bunch of lists. So, hoping to stop by. Maybe I can stop, at some point stop by maybe tomorrow or the next day, but it's been very crazy. So,
yeah, just give me a call.
Okay.
Robert, it's Becky. I don't know for sure, but is the chair of the Republican committee in Pittsfield the grandmother of the candidate?
I have no idea. I've reached out to Facebook and a few other people, and I'm still trying to reach out to get their information. So I believe so, but
it's Scott Strom.
Oh, okay. But he's being
that's not the grandmother of the candidate.
I don't know, but the chair is being very elusive to me. And for whatever reason, to be honest with you, if they don't want to talk to me, at this point, whatever at this point, I'm trying my best so that people can get the information out and not have commentary. I don't like commentary. I like facts and information. So, but anyways,
to be completely honest, if you really want to do something, just talk to the candidate. Like shoot Amanda a message, rather than the party. I mean,
do you have her contact information?
No.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm sure that's public information, right?
I will get her contact information, and I'll personally see what I can do, because it seems to me that she's a little bit at odds with whoever's running the Pittsfield Republican Party website. So
yeah. So, but I'll talk to MCI first to see where the wheels are on that, because that's already what's in the works, and we'll see if that's nothing there, and then we can talk about a separate forum if we want to.
Awesome. So I'm going to move on to the next topic, which of course is postcards. My wonderful wife wrote 200 postcards, 200, and we got them all mailed out Wednesday of last week. So they were all mailed out. So, and I know a lot of people have been working on these postcards, getting them out, and I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Becky. She's done a great role, again, because I just couldn't do everything. And Becky is like, you can't take on the world. You can't do this. And she's
Thank you, Rob.
Oh, sorry.
We have to mention Colby and Karen too, though. They did 200.
Oh, no, I'm just saying the thank you. And I appreciate Colby and Karen. I appreciate everybody's help. Because again, just like Becky, my supervisor, who's the program administrator for Crisis, has told me time and time again that I can't do everything in DHHS or for Office of Aging and Disability. So even though I try, just I want to thank everybody. And of course, I know that we had a little bit of a scare. And I'm just glad, that things are good. We're healthy. That's the best thing that I know, that we're healthy. And the numbers in Somerset County for COVID-19 are raising dramatically, getting a lot higher. And you can definitely see that because nobody in the urban in Pittsfield wears masks. Nobody going to Canaan in the Canaan urban wears masks. I even went to the Clinton One Stop nobody wears masks, except for me, of course, because again, my wife has an autoimmune disorder. She's on immunosuppressants. And if she gets this disease, she get COVID, she could end up in, in the hospital on a respirator, and I don't want to ever see that.
And I was at Pinkham's Elm Street Market in North Anson a few days ago, and nobody there was wearing masks at all. I think I was the only one there wearing it. It's terrible.
Oh.
Is the outbreak at Maple Crest, I think it is in Madison, handled, or is it spread out? Is it largely happening elsewhere in the county?
I think it's still back.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
it started up with the charter school in Skowhegan. And then they have a few campuses that it spread through. And as of a report on Thursday, there were 19. And then the Madison Maple Crest, I know somebody in there, and they just started to test the residents on a weekly basis. The management said prior to that, there was a news story by a young woman that Taylor Abbott did, and I know that woman, Sam, and then she was telling me that they were only testing the residents if they show signs, and that wasn't helping, so now, as of maybe 3 weeks ago, they started testing all the residents on a weekly basis, which helped control what was going on there. But Robert is absolutely right. I'm from Norridgewock, and on Thursday, our numbers jumped from 8 cases to 17 cases on Thursday in one day. And a lot of this, if you were able to read the articles from the charter school, the arrogance that is coming from the charter school is just ridiculous. And the Montessori school, people who were really concerned they weren't wearing masks at the Montessori school, and thank goodness for the recent guidelines, executive order guidelines. Last Monday, they had to start wearing masks at the Montessori school. And Sappy, my wife, Catherine, works at, Catherine Wilder works at Sappy. And as of tomorrow, people have to wear masks going into Sappy. They had a case come into Sappy from a contractor, and they're watching that. But, these freaking paper mills, it's ridiculous that people don't wear masks there. So it's, I think I would encourage people to report businesses everywhere that you guys go to and people aren't wearing masks, especially the workers, report it through the websites, through the CDC website and businesses. I'd rather be a rat than get COVID, quite honestly.
I just want to make everybody aware, and I want to thank Trudy because she shared a awesome post about the increase in COVID cases. So my information that I got, of course, is from reading the main CDC and the emails I get, so forth. But it's also information I got from Trudy. So I want to thank you all.
I'd like to say something too. This is Becky. Not to belabor bad news or scary news. Robert was referring to, there was an exposure to COVID in my house last weekend by a gentleman who lives down the street, and all is going well. He's fine. He's one of those 80-year-olds with no symptoms. But anyway, there has been 0 contact tracing efforts done. Nobody has reached out to any of us. And I suppose a call to them wouldn't be a bad thing. But
Right.
I was surprised that he hadn't heard, we haven't heard, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, and that was a bit surprising to me because, that individual is very well known at MCI and goes to MCI like literally on I'll say a daily or weekly basis.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, So that's probably covering this pretty good. I think we should get back to the Democratic business.
Oh, I know, Frank, sorry about that.
You're
The reason
muted.
why I was talking about it is is because of the hybrid meetings that we're potentially gonna schedule. I have been thoroughly debriefed by the main Democratic Party, and the main Democratic Party at this point highly has suggested that we don't have hybrid meetings. And that's part of the reason why I brought up the COVID piece, is that they don't feel, even in a center, in a room. I'm going to be speaking with an individual, I think it's Mayhill something. I can't pronounce her name. Sorry, my brain has been cooked. And we're going to have a conversation about doing an in-person event. But until I can have that conversation, the main Democratic Party does not want us hosting, has pretty much said that they would rather not see any in-person meetings at this point in time, because of we're going into the flu season, because we're going into these things. So I just wanted to put that in, and that's why I was touching base on the COVID-19 component. So my piece next, of course, is we've already talked about this a little bit. The coordinated campaign needs volunteers for canvassing. If you feel comfortable, there's going to be trainings. Even if you just want to take a look and say, hey, this is what we're doing, you can always go onto the main Democratic website and just go for the trainings just to see what they're doing. Again, we're just, again, trying to be careful. The other piece too that I want to bring up to move in is the election night. I just want to know if I'm going to be working the polls, so I'm going to be super busy that day. But it's been brought up through the others. Does anybody want to host an election night watch party event that we could utilize Zoom, we can utilize Facebook? Just to discuss and talk about the results election night. I don't think we're going to have we're not going to hear much, because I honestly believe the Trump campaign, and with all of the legal challenges I'm thinking is going to happen, we may not even get results until probably I think it's going to be like back during the back when there was the whole Florida thing. But anyways, would anyone like to host a virtual election night watch party event?
No.
We can see if there's any demand for it. I mean,
Yep.
I've been trained in doing that kind of hosting stuff and Zoom. I don't think an in-person event's going to be really feasible at this point, given, we're trying to keep people from not getting sick.
And that's the reason why I said suggest using Zoom or Facebook or something of that nature. So if the Somerset County does have a watch party, it would have to be utilizing technology.
I have PTSD from 4 years ago.
I
Together with I'm gonna go to bed, I think, and put the covers over my head.
Well, yes, I agree with you there, because I woke up the next day like nauseous and miserable and horrible. So in disbelief. I think that the day after the elections was like one of the worst days of that I've ever had. So I agree. Were you saying someone was talking? So I will put an email out if anyone is interested in doing a virtual host party. I will, I'll be more than happy to provide the. But otherwise, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to have to load up on coffee, but I'm going to be busy. So I'm not going to be able to do that. But if anyone wants to, just to just let me know. So the other piece, that we're working on is, really quickly, is that the main Democratic Party believes there's going to be potentially legal challenges, as well as not particularly maybe in Maine, but particularly national. So again, specifically where Trump has said that he hasn't really mentioned about a transfer of power. So if, Biden does win, which I am doing my best to get Biden Harris win, but if he wins, I just honestly think there's going to be drama. So, what I may
No.
what I may end up having to do is, after the election, is to, depending upon the situation, what I'll do is we'll schedule a specific meeting, because there may need to be a call to action as far as writing letters, reaching out to representatives, and just dependent upon the results. So just to be aware, I try to be a little bit proactive, but just to be aware, we may end up having we may be having a special meeting based upon that in the future. And Mike, sorry, Margaret.
Yeah, are you hearing, Robert, that when Biden wins officially, are you hearing that Republicans are talking about physical retaliation?
Well, to be honest with you, I'll just tell you this. I hope to God, and this is just my personal beliefs, I just hope it doesn't happen. But with the most recent the recent news with that right-wing group trying to kidnap or kidnap and kill the governor, as well as set up explosives here, and then you have all these far right-wing groups, I'm hoping for civility. Pete?
Yeah, I just actually wanted to add a footnote to that, because we're right next door to you guys in Franklin County. One of the really hot points in the sheriff's race that's been going on is the Republican incumbent received an award from a group called the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Award Association. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, another active member of that group was linked to the group that tried to kidnap Governor Whitmer, and they espouse an ideology called constitutional sheriffs, which is a fringe right-wing idea that sheriffs within the county have law enforcement and gun control and immigration powers that supersede that of the president. So there's going to be a letter from me forthcoming of actually speaking out about that, and hopefully, just in this discussion with Trump, we're hoping that Nichols loses. But if I'm going to be 100% honest with you folks, I don't know what's going to happen if Scott Nichols gets reelected. So that's what's going on over the county line here.
And quite honestly, is that, streaming this on our Somerset Dems page and stuff like that, it's, kind of, freaks me out a little bit. But I mean, we have hardcore white supremacists in our county, and they're going to try to infiltrate us. But I think Robert, you may want to talk to the main Dem office and see if there's something, rather than, something organized, that's going out to the volunteers and stuff about, November 4th, and any kind of what our actions should be on reporting any kind of retaliation stuff that may be going out around there.
A couple things I'll just let you know. I'm still waiting. I know there's a policy going around about carrying, again, concealed carry, as well as other components. I'm working, and so forth. But the main Democratic Party is concerned. But again, we'll have the, yes, Pete.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, Robert. I actually just wanted to add another note about that, because there's something on the Somerset County side of things going on. For those of you who don't know, I want to give you guys a warning about a selectman in New Portland named Ray Poulin. He posted on Facebook when there was a Black Lives Matter protest organizing in Kingfield, which is just over the county line, Just don't block the road. I won't even attempt to stop. And then about a month or two after that, he attempted to organize a so-called patriot group in Kingfield. I had an exchange with him and I got screenshots where he admitted to being the source of that quote. He wasn't publicly attributed beforehand. And I have reported him to the Franklin County District Attorney for that, because there is a section in the Maine Criminal Code called terrorizing, which prohibits threats posted to social media. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's organized a group in the months since then. I don't know how large it is, if it does exist, but keep an eye out for that guy because he could be a threat to the community after the election.
Well, I just want to say right now, I know there's a lot of concerns, and, again, I will report back on, the thoughts of the Maine Democratic Party. Generally, before we have our county caucus meeting, we meet directly with the coordinated campaign and the Maine Democratic Party, so I get a lot of updates. So any updates that I get, I will let you know. The one piece too, just to be aware, there is a mail-in that I forget, sent me a mail-in out. The Maine Republican Party has sent out a mail-in that actually gives misinformation about ranked choice voting. I did send that up the food chain because it does come from the Maine Republican Party, not from here. So just to see whether or not that's an ethics violation. So I got that pushed up to the top. But for right now, I don't want to focus on what could happen. Again, I want to, we can all prepare and we can all hope for the best. But for right now, we just need to just continue working on getting Democrats elected and continue pushing the numbers up.
Yeah, I think that this is Lisa. I think that's very important based on everything I've read. And it, I just read too much, obviously, but one of the things that I think is very important is working hard to get Biden-Harris to have a landslide, and also to get control of the Senate. And obviously, we all know how important that is. Because I think if there is a landslide for Biden-Harris, electoral landslide, and also if we find that, in fact, on the Senate side, we pick up 7 seats, which, based on what I was reading this morning and also last night, is possible. It's within reach for the Democrats. One of the editorials I read said that if he is defeated to that extent, Trump may decide, because he's got such a big ego, he may decide to pull back and to say something like, well, I didn't really want it anyway.
Yeah.
Because if it's a very tight race, it's a whole different kettle of fish. But if it's really a landslide, and if the Democrats really take the Senate in a major way, this editorial I read, which was fascinating, said that based on his personality, what he may do is he may just say, I didn't really want it anyway, and I think that, and he may tell people to sort of stand down. Now, that's obviously the best scenario. Knowing how crazy he is, we never know what he's going to do, and his followers will follow him to the ends of the earth. So, but I just think you're right, Robert. We need to focus all of our efforts right now on the election, and but that said, to have a contingency plan and a protection plan for after the election, just to be smart.
So I will just, again, I'm just going to move on. Definitely thank you for bringing that question up. I mean, myself, I own a Glock. So, again, not that I'm crazy with it, but, again, I'm a gun owning Democrat. So, and very happy of my Second Amendment rights to actually own weapons. So unlike the Republicans who say we're all for gun control, I'm a happy gun owner. But anyway,
Robert, what about that agenda?
I'm moving on.
Did we finish that up? We got about 10 minutes left in the meeting.
Yeah, we're moving on. Believe me, we're almost done, Frank. Thank you for keeping me on track. The
Brian, it's full-time work.
next thing that we
You
have
should live with him.
the next thing we have is the alternate election, and we need to elect an alternate candidate, and I was contacted by Mike, and Mike is very interested in being that alternate. I just want to ask if there's any other person in this particular meeting that would like to run for the alternate for the Democratic State Committee.
To represent Somerset County, of course.
Yep, represent Somerset County.
We're talking about Mike Hine.
Yes.
Okay.
That being said, so I don't hear anything, I nominate Mike Hine to the alternate position for state Democrat. Do we have a second?
Second.
And do we have a full vote of the committee? Raise your hand.
Aye.
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 So Mike, congratulations.
As
You are,
for the nays.
what was
The
that?
state committee alternate.
The state committee alternate.
Congrats,
So-
Mike.
Congratulations.
I will let the state committee know, and you'll start to get the invites, and I'll make sure that you're in the next meeting. I'll get you that invite. So, and we'll get that taken care of, and so forth. So, and Pete, I'm going to make sure, it's not Pete, sorry, Joel, I'm hopefully going to make sure that you're in the next meeting coming up. I'll send you the links if you don't get that information, so that I can get both you and Mike and, all of us to have a full representation.
Yes. And I'll also be in the meeting with the Progressive Caucus on Wednesday.
Okay, cool. The next piece here is, as I said, the hybrid meeting, until I have a conversation with the Democratic State Committee the main Democratic Party, at this point, I'm going to have to put a hold on the potential hybrid meeting.
Okay.
For the time being, once I have that conversation and have a protocol set up and all of those pieces, then I'll reach out to the team. But for right now, we're just going to have to continue the Zoom session. I'll continue you to put it on, and then trying to attract others. I now have access to the main Democratic state site so that I can update events and add our events in there. So I have access to put our Zoom information. I can actually also set it up so folks have to register. So I have to pre-approve. So there's a lot of stuff that I can do and that I'm going to be working on just to prevent, anybody who doesn't belong. And Dan is very good at keeping track of everybody who comes in and sees this and our voting members. So, I definitely things are going well. Other than that, it's an open session right now. But if anybody would like to donate, of course, you can go to the Somerset County Main Dems. All the money that we do goes back to grassroots campaign and trying to, to work on things. So definitely, if you know anybody who wants to help out, they can't volunteer, but if they want to help out with that, they can go to the Somerset County website. But as of right now, it's an open session. If anybody would like to add something new or bring something up, we have about 9 minutes left according to my clock.
Colby has his hand up.
Hey, Colby.
Cam Colby. I'm a little bit concerned about the coordinated campaign and the county office that we have in Skowhegan. I've been quarantined. I don't get out very much, but when I get down there and it's supposed to be the office is open, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Twice down there, I've seen people who wanted to get in who are waiting there for somebody to let them in. It does not speak well of the Democrats who have an office, but nobody's there, you know?
So what's happening?
I have maintained the office for the last 3 cycles to some extent or another. And I think we ought to be, as Somerset County Democrats, doing a better job in maintaining the office down there to distribute the signs for the county to those that want them to put out on their lawns and to keep some kind of a schedule. Sorry.
No, Colby, thank you for bringing that up. The one good thing is Margaret, who's actually at the office right now, because I can see her, I can see the background. She's worked this weekend. So from now on, I'm going to have weekend hours. Because again, what's happening is the coordinated campaign are going out there, but they're also canvassing, and then they're closing the office, and we have anybody. So now I know Margaret graciously volunteered. I am going to be there on Thursdays. So I will be there on Thursdays to hand out signs, you know, and that's my personal day that I'll be working. I'll work personally from there. I'm hoping to get some more folks if they want to volunteer during the week. I know I'm hoping to have somebody in Skowhegan hold the key. That way I can, because it's hard for me to drive from Pittsfield to Skowhegan and then drive back again. It's a lot easier for me to have someone in Skowhegan hold the office key for me. And then like on Thursdays or something, I can connect with them, or another day. And that way I can get in and other people. So again, but again, we have weekend hours now. So the weekend is doing good. And then of course I'm going to be there on Thursdays, and I was promised, I will just say this, I was promised by the coordinated campaign that they were going to be in there more hours during this particular week, but I'm not going to count on that. So I'm just seeking some additional volunteers. Maybe we'll keep the office open 3 days a week. You know, I'm hoping like maybe Monday, you know, or, you know, I'm going to work on Thursday, but 3 days a week. And then, you know, up until we end. Margaret?
Robert, I'll work here tomorrow afternoon, you know, around 3 till 6.
Okay.
And maybe get some people who are coming in after work.
Okay.
But I won't be able to work next weekend because I'll be traveling. So.
Oh, that's fine.
And then I can work, staff the office Friday. I can staff the office probably from 10 till 2. I'll just, you can get that out. I mean, I don't know about posting it on our email list, which I've done over the past weekend, and then on the Facebook page. I don't know if that helps, or just having the office open and the lights on. So you can let me know, Robert, what you want.
Well, I think both. And again, that's another reason why I keep my phone number on the door, because when the office is closed, I know when they'll call me up sometimes in the middle of the day. You know, I get a call and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll come down and get a sign if I'm not working, or I take my lunch break. So
do you want me to send out to the email list again about tomorrow?
Yes, please do. And then we can, and then just add it to the Facebook group page, and then I'll approve it. And that way we have it on both sides.
Okay, so I'll send that. I'll do the same rhetoric for the Facebook page, and then you can post it. Okay.
Hey, Ann.
Mike Hines said that he had his hand raised to speak. So.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, just a quick update from a union event I was at a couple of Fridays ago. It was a candidates event. It was in person up in Clinton at the Iron Workers Hall. And you were there, Robert. Yeah. It was really super encouraging. They had a representative, a city councilor from Portland up from Spencer Thibodeau for the Biden campaign. both Gideon and Golden were both in attendance and spoke. And also Troy Jackson, Senate President. And the sense I got from speaking to some of these iron workers, some of these real blue collar, AFL-CIO, labor activists, was that there's going to be some split tickets. I didn't get the impression that Biden has made a lot of progress up this way, but I also didn't get the impression that the Collins campaign is being supported by a lot of these union folks, and that Golden was fairly safe in his district, and that no one really had a good idea about who their local candidates were, state Senate, state representative. I really didn't get that impression at all. So the takeaway is, unless we speak to some of these folks over the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of split ticket action. I think we can expect Biden and Trump up this way to be very close.
Yep.
And the rest of the candidates, federal candidates, to be safely Democratic. But boy, I'm telling you, the state, I talked with some of these folks, after I asked what town they were in, about their local state reps and state senators, and just a lot of blank stares, not a lot of recognition. So education is still kind of the key there, especially super locally.
And Mike, that's my key. Right now, it's toward the end of the, a very short period of time for the next campaign, but future plans are to make sure that all the towns and local districts know, the people in our town, our county, know exactly who their candidates are, whether it's Republican or Democrat, and actually know who, how to reach out to them, have their contact information and so forth. So, that is something I do plan. And the funny thing about that union event, just to bring it up, is I almost did not recognize Golden, because he's sitting next to me over here, drinking a PBR, wearing like these, I'm going to say ratty jeans, but he literally looked like a union worker. And like, I looked over and I'm like, holy shit, that is, excuse my language, that's Jared Golden. So, but
Sitting congressman came in with only his female campaign manager and no other entourage, came in very humbly, very meekly, and left the same way, drove a truck, just super humble, super real, just a real person.
And I will tell everybody, unlike his first term, he is a lot more vocal now. He is very outgoing. He tells it like it is. He's a very down-to-earth person. But anyways, it is 7 o'clock. And, again, I try to keep things to our time here. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out and coming to our Zoom call. And it is 7 o'clock, and oh my goodness, my brain is frozen. Adjourn the meeting at 7 p.m. tonight.
Hey, Robert, will you tell Hillary that I'll be here between 3 and 6 tomorrow, and and her husband can drop signs off, please?
Absolutely. I will definitely do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you again, Margaret. I thank you so much for volunteering.
Yeah, and Pete and Ethan, if you want to drop off signs, feel free. I'll be here from 3 to 6.
I don't have signs yet, but I'll definitely do that as soon as they arrive.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Big
I'm gonna save the chat for right now before I save chat.
Big landslide. Bye.
Woo!